10 great sci-fi movies overshadowed by their sequels. Because of their wide-ranging, speculative nature, it is not at all uncommon for science fiction movies to inspire sequels, often more than one. The quality of these great sequels, however, has proven to be quite inconsistent. Unfortunately, many subsequent films failed to live up to the quality of the original. On the other hand, though, some sequels offer creative expansions of the worlds established by the films that inspired them, leading to great success both critically and commercially. Sometimes, sequels are so good that they even manage to overshadow the films that came before them. While it is great that these films receive such high praise and attention, it is a shame that the wonderful films that inspired them fall by the wayside. It is crucial to remember that these were the movies that first introduced audiences to their marvelous new worlds, establishing the settings and characters that would be dazzling viewers for years to come. Despite being great works of science fiction, these excellent films fell into the shadow of their popular sequels. Before Terminator 2, Judgment Day could establish itself as one of the best science fiction sequels of all time. James Cameron introduced audiences to the dangerous world of the Terminator. This 1984 feature blended elements of sci-fi and action to create a captivating story about a time-traveling killing machine determined to prevent the birth of the man who would one day go on to lead a rebellion against the self-aware robotic army. The Terminator proved to be a major success, defying the expectations of many critics. The pleasant surprises did not end there, however, with Terminator 2, Judgment Day going on to receive widespread acclaim, while also dominating the box office, earning around $520 million. The long-awaited sequel even managed to win 4 Academy Awards, a fairly rare feat for science fiction movies. While The Terminator was beloved for the 7 years before Judgment Day was released, it quickly became overshadowed. Nevertheless, The Terminator remains an exciting, action-packed blast in its own right. Denis Villeneuve's 2021 adaptation of Frank Herbert's beloved sci-fi novel, Dune, immediately blew audiences away with its stunning effects and meticulous world-building. The film follows a young hero named Paul Atreides, played by Timothée Chalamet, as his family is thrust into a war on the dangerous desert-like planet, Arrakis. The massive success of the first film left expectations incredibly high for Dune, Part 2. Fortunately, Villeneuve not only met these expectations, but vastly exceeded them. Dune was a box office smash and a critical hit, raking in 10 Oscar nominations and 6 wins across an array of technical categories. The success of Dune and its gripping ending left audiences hungry for more. The massive success of the first film left expectations incredibly high for Dune, Part 2. Fortunately, Villeneuve not only met these expectations, but vastly exceeded them. Since its release in early 2024, Dune, Part 2 has been earning huge praise from critics and audiences alike. With a dramatic, riveting continuation of the story, and an expansion of all the elements fans loved about the first film, Dune, Part 2 has the potential to dominate the award season. However, it is essential to remember that the film wouldn't be the same without Dune to launch the story in the right direction. It is no secret that Star Wars is easily among the most iconic science fiction franchises of all time. The series was a widespread phenomenon from the moment the first installment was released. Star Wars, now known as Star Wars, Episode IV, A New Hope, introduced audiences to characters, stories, and galaxies they had never even imagined. With the massive hype surrounding the film, a series of sequels seemed absolutely necessary, although it would be nearly impossible to live up to the standards set by the original. Incredibly, The Empire Strikes Back managed to defy the odds and gave the franchise a new installment that certainly rivaled, if not surpassed, A New Hope, thanks to the inclusion of one of the most iconic plot twists in cinema history, The Empire Strikes Back served as an exciting continuation of the first film that effectively avoided disappointing its audience. Years later, The Empire Strikes Back has come to be considered the greatest Star Wars movie by many, stealing the spotlight away from the film that started it all. Although the beloved superhero, Spider-Man, has made numerous film appearances over the years, many viewers first fell in love with the character while watching the trilogy of films directed by Sam Raimi. Released in 2002, Spider-Man launched the series, introducing viewers to Peter Parker, played by Tobey Maguire, a meek student whose life is turned upside down when a radioactive spider gives him various unique abilities. The film was very well received, thanks to its exciting yet heartfelt story, as well as Maguire's charming performance. Although fans were very satisfied with the quality of Spider-Man, its 2004 sequel, Spider-Man 2, gained even more praise. Part of what helped Spider-Man 2 surpass its predecessor was the introduction of its new lead villain, Dr. Octopus, played by Alfred Molina, whose emotional backstory made him a complex, interesting character. Spider-Man 2 used the elements established by the first film to help itself dive right into the action, offering a fun viewing experience from beginning to end. Nevertheless, Spider-Man remains an enjoyable sci-fi feature in its own right, introducing the world to Maguire's beloved iteration of the character. It is difficult to compare Cloverfield and its first sequel, 10 Cloverfield Lane, as they are such drastically different films. Released in 2008, Cloverfield employs a found-footage style to tell the story of a group of New Yorkers desperately trying to survive in the midst of a deadly attack by a massive otherworldly creature. The gripping horror film was praised for its dedication to its unusual style, which helped add to the undeniably frightening effect of its story. 8 years later, the film's sequel, 10 Cloverfield Lane, went in a completely different direction, although it remained just as intense and scary. This follow-up film used a more straightforward, cinematic style, and focused on an entirely new set of characters. Instead of relying on visuals of the horrifying creatures, the film achieved its chilling nature through suspense and the characters' own distrust of each other. 10 Cloverfield Lane was praised more highly by critics, particularly for its grounded, human-focused take on the alien invasion genre. Star Wars wasn't the only popular sci-fi franchise to star Harrison Ford. In 1982, Ford stepped into the leading role in Blade Runner, an adaptation of Philip K. Dick's classic novel, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Set in a futuristic version of Earth, the film follows an agent tasked with tracking down a series of human-like robots, calling into question what it really means to be a human. The film may not have been an immediate success, but it left a lasting legacy on the world of sci-fi cinema, the impact of which can still be felt today. Decades later, the film's sequel, Blade Runner 2049, earned popularity and acclaim much more quickly. Set 30 years after the original, the film serves as a continuation of the story, with multiple actors, including Ford, returning to reprise their roles.